Thank you for tuning in to the Final Fantasy Entertainment and Podcast Network, Final Fan TV. Today, we are talking about the mini games that you have played in Final Fantasy, the history and evolution of them. Before we begin, a big shout out to our boy, Faraga Fighter, Vinny. Thank you so much for putting together this document that we're going to be looking at today. He's put together he's done all of the research, or I guess a little bit of the research, but mostly his immense knowledge that he already possessed. But then he had to channel it into words, and he did. And thank you so much for doing that, Vinny. So now we can do that. Speaking of Vinny, the Faraga Fighter, what's up?
The internet is now collectively stroking your e-beam.
The Faraga Fighter, what's up, man?
Nothing much. I'm actually like super excited for this one because I like mini games are one of the things, aside from like boss battles and challenge runs, mini games were like the reason why I looked forward to like the next installment of Final Fantasy. And like Final Fantasy X has my favorite ones.
I have a feeling. I was about to say I have a feeling we're going to talk about Final Fantasy X for a little while.
Oh yeah.
Once again.
I mean, aside from it being like my favorite, it has so many mini games in it. And I excluded. So when I made this list, I excluded anything that was plot significant or mandatory. So like the CPR mini game in Final Fantasy VII. Like that's mandatory, and your prize is story progression. If you don't beat it, you don't progress. So like, you know, I don't think she dies, does she? I don't think I've ever let her die.
I'm just waiting for Baby Seal to say something about Mr. Blowhole, or not Mr. Blowhole.
Please, Danny, please. Mr. Blowhole is my father.
Mr. Blowhole. All right. You heard that lovely voice. This is the Mako Man. Reed. What's up, Reed?
My blowhole.
Mr. Blowhole.
So yeah, I really don't want to be the Mako Man anymore. I want to be Reed, Mr. Blowhole. Do you, Mr. Blowhole, accept this woman to be like I just like imagine like all the
Do you concur? Do you concur, Mr. Blowhole?
All right, guys. So this is gonna be a fun one. Like I said, Vinny has done a lot of the research on this one, so I'm just gonna set it up. You knock it out of the park, Vinny. First off, Final Fantasies 1 through 6 kind of are a little they don't have a lot of mini games going on. Final Fantasy 7 is really the first Final Fantasy that just went hardcore on it. So we're going to touch on them, though, that maybe you may have not known that Final Fantasy 1 actually does have a hidden mini game in it. Vinny?
Yeah, so not a lot of people knew that Final Fantasy 1 actually has a mini game. And it's been a mini game since its Super Nintendo release.
Yeah, how hard can you bash your head into a wall?
So the mini game actually is near the beginning, and you can play it throughout the entire game. Once you get the pirate ship, and you're on the water, if you hold, I forget what the buttons on the Super Nintendo were for this, but just like, you know, for instance, if you hold A down and then press the B button 24 times while you're on the boat, it opens up this mini game called 15 Puzzle, which I'm sure everyone's played it at some point in their life. Where it's like a tile game where like, let's say there's like you have a little box, and in the box there's tiles, and you can move those tiles to try and like form a picture. Well, it's the same instance.
You gotta get one through. You know what's funny is you know who used to really love that game and play it religiously? Bobby Fischer. In fact, I think he went on the Dick Cavett show, or was it Johnny Carson? He went on one of those shows with the 15 puzzle, and like he was showing how quickly he could do it. I had no idea. That's really cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it was a timed thing. Like you didn't run out of time, but it timed how fast you did the 15 puzzle, and so it would start 1 at the top, and then 15 had to be the last number. And as the years went on, as they kept remaking Final Fantasy 1, the prizes changed. Beating it in under 30 seconds gets you, I think, 10,000 gil, and you get a couple of like blue fangs. A lot of people use the 15 puzzle minigame in Final Fantasy 1 for like challenge runs, because it gets you early on money, which is, not really easy to get early on in the game in Final Fantasy 1, and it gets you some throwable items that help you kill monsters in like one hit, like blue fangs and stuff like that. I have never beaten it in under 30 seconds. I don't know how people do that, but 15 puzzles is actually pretty hard, for me at least. But yeah, it's a hidden minigame that is only accessible on the ship, and you can play it whenever you want as long as you're on the ship.
Wow, awesome. Speaking of mini games, real quick, chat. If you throw bits at us, you will fight a boss in the top right-hand corner of the screen. It's kind of cool. I don't know if you follow. Also contributes to the boss fight as well as our limit breakers, which we have yet to decide what will happen if we reach it. So it might be exciting. I don't know. Vinny might take a pie to the face. We'll see.
Well, that was me, and I'll still do it because I love pies.
We will have a special video where Reed will take a pie to the face if we can hit our limit breaker today. So just follow and let's get it going. Final Fantasy II also has a secret hidden mini game in it.
A matching game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, it's
this actually wasn't released in its original Super Nintendo release. When it was remade in Dawn of Souls or Origins or whichever. Final Fantasy 1 and 2 have actually been remade so many different times. And there's Daniel's sponsorship from Arizona. He had to turn his head so that you could read the label.
Wait, so he could what?
So he could read.
I hate my life.
But Final Fantasy 2 has a memory matching hidden minigame on the snowmobile when you get it. And it's the same premise. You hold A down while you're on the snowmobile, and then you press B 22 times, and you enter a memory card matching style game. And it was added later, I guess, from the popularity of people, finding a hidden minigame in Final Fantasy 1. This minigame, though, is slightly easier, but it also gives you really good prizes. You get like Genji equipment and like good armor, good items and everything. So it's definitely worth doing. But it's essentially the same thing as Final Fantasy 1, where it was kind of hidden. So finding it was cool. I think the success and popularity of 15 Puzzle made them want to add another mini game to Final Fantasy 2.
That's cool. I kind of wonder how long. I didn't find the history on it or anything, but I was kind of wondering how long it took somebody to actually discover that mini game, because who would have thought it was like, oh, I'll just hold down B and press A 20 some. I'm just gonna press A 100 times. I don't know. See what happens.
So like,
God, I'm so angry. I could hold A.
I just man.
I knew about 15 Puzzle before like there were like guides out on the internet and stuff, because my uncle or godfather, he's one and the same person.
Oh my God!
Used to play.
Have you ever seen your uncle and godfather in the same place at the same time?
I have, every time I see them.
Every time I see
them. He's the one who told me about it. I don't know how he found out, but I used to go up to every single NPC and talk to them, and there was really nothing I could find that would say like, oh, if you're bored on the ship, just mash buttons. Like, I don't know how people found that out, and I thought that was pretty cool.
So cool. Also, chat, we are going to go down the line of Final Fantasy games. So I see that you guys have some questions or just comments. We'll get to those in just a moment as we get to the game, because I do have one for Kreisman. So Final Fantasy III is an exception to the rule, because I mean, I didn't find anything. I don't remember anything mini game wise with this game. I believe, if chat help me out if we're wrong here, please chime in now. Final Fantasy 3, the one that was, the actual Final Fantasy 3, not Final Fantasy 6. But yeah, so I didn't see any mini games in that, or I don't remember any mini games.
And I never played through the whole Final Fantasy 3 because I really just did not like it. And
And the last boss is Cloud of Darkness.
yeah, that's also super edgy. But
Oh
all
no,
the research.
look out, guys, we might get rain.
So I couldn't find any mini games on it, and also I said at the beginning of the episode, I'm not counting mini games that are plot significant. So
Gotcha.
like anything that's like you have to do it, I consider just being part of the story, not actually being a mini game. Like I'm referring to mini games as stuff where if I want to stop playing the game and go do something like play Blitzball or play more Blitzball.
That's a mini game. Yeah,
do more Blitzball. Yeah.
Well, hold on. That actually excludes the best mini game in all of Final Fantasy. And so I took that personally.
If you're talking about Triple Triad, you don't have to play Triple Triad.
No. Unironically, the greatest mini game in all of Final Fantasy is Sector 5, where you have to hit the button in sync with Tifa and Barret.
That's just more comical than it is a mini game. Seeing everybody just like you're just like, all right, I got it this time, and then like Cloud and Tifa hit it, and then Cloud's just like, bonk.
How many people? I want to like go to a camp, like a getaway camp kind of thing, where it's like it's all people who experience the trauma of like having a drink thrown at them because their brother couldn't like get like. All right, so I was watching my brother play Final Fantasy VII. This is way back in the day, and he could not sync up the button. And after like his like 30th failed attempt, I made a joke. I was like, "You almost got him that time." He like just like straight up grabbed like an open cup of like juice or something and just like chucked. And we're like, he's like 9 years old, and just like chucks at me. I just like I'm just waiting for like a getaway camp of like children who have experienced having drinks because of that mini game specifically.
I have a story too for 7 that was a mini game that's not essential, or that was essential to the story, but I will get to that in a second.
The slap game.
it's there's so many. It's so great. All right, we're gonna circle back to Final Fantasy IV. Now, Final Fantasy IV is a unique situation here, whereas the original Final Fantasy IV did not, as far as I remember, did not have mini games. But in the re-release on the DS, the game actually came packed in with some side quest mini games that you could do, like Ryda's Math Magic, or was it Math Magic or Mathematician?
Rydia's.
I always called her Ryda.
Oh,
oopsie.
Flow Ryda.
Flow right up.
I think it was called Magic Mathematician or something.
Okay, yeah, something like that. And
Mathemagic sounds cooler, so we'll just go with Mathemagic.
Mathemagic. I always Mathemagic. Cecil's Goblin Gauntlet was another one.
What's Cecil doing? Oh, Cecil's over there Goblet.
He's just Goblin Gauntlet right now.
Yeah, you ever just need to just goblet, like just straight goblin goblet,
like straight up goblin. Kane's Kane's High Jump Hijinks was another one. Edge's Ninja Blade, and then Rosa's Measured Meditation, which was very difficult if you were not using a stopwatch. Right, you would need your stopwatch on the side to get it perfect. But if you're kind of going off of like what the game wants you to do is just like be able to have an internal clock. It was actually ended up being removed in the Steam and mobile versions of the re-release of this game, so it's only on the DS, which is interesting. I guess
all of these mini games
didn't like it.
Were actually meant to increase the stats of some like what was it, wit or white? It was like WHYT, this little like doll that you would
that's right. Yeah, so that is true. There was like this real, and you could actually customize it too. You could actually customize the little, it looked like, I guess it looked like a Moogle. But
like an Onion Knight or something.
What up, my people?
My Kupo. Final Fantasy V has none that I remember.
None
So
that
we're gonna keep moving on. Final Fantasy V is the Mako Man, his favorite game. So did Final Fantasy V have any mini games that you can remember?
No, not really. It's too busy. It's too busy having an amazing job system.
So we go. Actually, this one, Kreisman, I'd like to call you out on this one. You said in the chat that Final Fantasy VI has a few mini games. The only one that we can recall is the Colosseum.
There's other ones that are like, I don't know if they're plot essential, but they're also just like pretty tiny.
Well, I mean, I just played through 6, and all the mini games that I could think of that like.
Oh, I'm thinking of oh God, what's the one? Lock. It's Lock and the Moogles, where they protect. Oh, that's
but that's to me that's plot significant.
Yeah, that's plot. Yeah, it's plot story.
And then the only other thing I could think of is rage collecting, which isn't really much of a mini game. It's like, to me, that's just you're trying to power up your player. I mean, I don't know why you would get any other rage besides Stray Cat anyway, because that makes the little dude Gao hit like a truck. Yeah, we're not counting the battle setups. Like when you also have to fight Kefka and all that stuff. I that's not that's plot significant. So I didn't count it as a mini game, but I did count.
Mention.
It's an honorable mention. Yeah, I mean they're fun. And
by the way,
it's a nice sequence break.
I want to mention this really quickly, since we have the same crew, the old gang here. I've done a lot of like self-reflection, personal. I realigned my chi significantly. My chi, my chi was just like completely online. And now it's like
internal feng shui.
And now it's aligned.
Okay.
Now, if I'm being honest with myself, and I'm not pushing myself to create a list, Dancing Mad is top 3 favorite Final Fantasy.
We're back to this.
We gotta go back.
But to go forward, we must go back. We must go under the mountain. Remember who you are, Daenerys. Khaleesi.
Controlling the roller coaster, catching fish. I'll see myself out. That's what Kreisman said.
What in 6? I don't remember that. Was that? I might have missed it then.
Well, first of all, the best catching fish mini game of all time is Breath of Fire 3.
You bring it like I feel like it has to be mentioned every. I feel like Reed needs to stream Breath of Fire 3 on Final Fantasy just because it's related. It's related.
Dude, I would 100% do a Breath of Fire 3 and Suikoden 2 stream on Final Fantasy.
That'd be fun.
I would do that 100%.
Final Fantasy VII. Now this one has, oh man, I feel like we're going to be on this one for just a little while here because there are
it only has like 2 mini games. Come on,
there's just too many. There's just too many. Final Fantasy VII. All right, I'm gonna name them off. We'll briefly just kind of go through them. If you have any memories that you want to share about the particular mini game, please do so. Chat, I encourage you to do the same. So if you have any Final Fantasy VII mini game memories, please let us know, and we'll read them off. That'd be fun. All right, G-Bike is one of them. And that one, we all know what G-Bike is. Cloud on the motorcycle, doing the thing, parties in the truck, protect the truck. Awesome. Fun time. Mount Condor Reactor. Now that was story essential, and then it just became a mini game.
It's
not story essential.
In fact,
you don't have to do Mount Condor.
For me, it is because
you have to do one. So what I learned in my last playthrough of 7, because I always love those battles. It's like I'm going to do all of them. There's 24 legit, I'd be like, all right, I have like a walkthrough so I know exactly every time one of them unlocks, and it's like, all right, and so you go into Mithril Mines and you fight one battle and Fort Condor. All right, go in Fort Condor, like, okay, these battles are more difficult than I remember. Okay, whatever, moving on. Because it takes a lot of gold or gil. It's like, okay, So all right, so you just did Fort Condor. All right, so you're back. All right, so you're gonna find another and Fort Condor. Like,
Fort Condor.
like, Jesus
So really,
Christ.
yeah. Fort Condor was fun for me. A lot of people didn't like the mini game, thought it was too slow. I'd say that the three times speed, the 3 times speed for the recent releases of the game definitely make that way more enjoyable. I'm really excited to see what they do with the remake, to kind of have this RTS like mini game. That would be really fun.
So my strategy for Fort Condor was always never put any of the. I would just let them storm the mountain, and then fight the super easy boss fight at the end and kill them, and then that's that. Because it was on the original, it was way too slow. With ×3 speed, it's still slow.
It's still kind of slow. You still have enough time to think about it.
I'm too OCD. Like like if I cannot allow them to ever like get near like the fort. Like I have to, like, I set it all up strategically. I'm just like it's like Call of Duty where the guys is like Rodriguez, like get my crown. It's like Rodriguez. Yeah, it's like I'm just like Fighter 2, like go over here and all that. Yeah, and then there's like one at the very end where you have to fight the guy. I'm just like, this is literally ruining my experience. Like,
rock paper scissors RTS, baby. So we go to Submarine Showdown, which was part of the plot, and then it became the gold saucer game.
Anything that was part of the story that you
basically
cannot
ended
go
up
back.
being
Yeah, but like
gold saucer anyway.
Like anything that was plot significant for one part of the game, but you can go back and do is a mini game.
We'll keep
like
that.
You can't do the CPR thing, beat it, and then come back and then find her drowning again and do CPR again. You know,
I just want to keep her.
So like
with stay out of the water. We've established
really enjoy going.
You can't swim, girl. Like just stop.
With Blitzball, you have to do it once, but you can go back and continuously do it. Same thing with Mount Condor. So that's why they're mini games, because
Mount Condor.
So you can go back and do them as many times as you want. So but like the barrel thing in Final Fantasy VII, where you gotta kick the barrel in the right spot.
They took that out.
You can't do that more than once unless you.
Can't believe they took that out, man.
Yeah, no, I was looking forward to that.
I love the barrel, but I was so excited for that moment.
I know. Me too.
I was so excited for that moment. I was like, oh yeah, I see. I can't wait to kick these barrels down at these fools. Didn't happen.
God, when you say barrels, I immediately think of the mini game from Super Mario RPG, one of the most amazing RPG games of all time. Where you're going to the Peach's wedding. I can't remember the guy's name. The boss, where you fight the cake boss. But you have to like run up this mountain. Yeah, it's literally just like a sentient cake. But you have to like run up this mountain, and he's throwing barrels, and it's like Donkey Kong all over again. You have to like jump across the barrels and stuff. I don't know why.
Awesome.
That just like, but you can do it. But you can do it multiple times. It's Store Essential, but you can go back and do it again.
You can do it. Super Mario mini games. Let's go.
I do want to say this about the Submarine Showdown. I think that like it was a pretty good omnidirectional game for like 1997 being a mini game. I think it was like pretty ahead of its time for being a mini game, and also. I think Final Fantasy VII's underwater theme is probably the best underwater music I've ever heard.
Oh yeah,
it's so peaceful. It makes me feel like underwater. Careless Whispers. Oh my goodness.
I'm the greatest, and everyone will appreciate my genius.
The Careless Whispers. Oh man. Then we go on to snowboarding. I like the snowboarding game because I'm extremely excited. I know this is kind of turning into like, I can't wait for this and remake, but I can't wait for snowboarding and remake because like that's just, snowboarding was actually a lot of fun if you could conquer the controls. Like at first you're just like,
I hate it.
I enjoyed the snowboarding. I actually was one of like, I always thought it would be cool to have the snowboarding mini game as like a standalone mini game on like mobile, just like, you use your thumb to kind of like steer cloud and everything. Like I thought that would just be like a cool like 99-cent play the snowboarding mini game whenever you want. Thought that would be cool.
Dude, you know what'd be even better is if the whole time in Remake when you're doing the snowboard mini game, it just plays the SSX theme song. It's tricky. It's tricky.
It's tricky.
It's
right after Aerith dies. It's tricky.
Cloud's just like, oh yeah, these are my jams. Like,
and let's not forget that Cloud straight up robbed a little kid of his snowboard to go snow.
The kid gave him his snowboard. Yeah. I can't even remember what you do, but he's like, hey mister, like you kicked that rock over there. Here's a snowboard.
Well, didn't the kid get grounded or something? And Cloud was just like, well, you don't need this anymore.
Well, you're not gonna need this, so I'll go ahead and take this.
Exactly. You know what's funny is like it's never in your inventory or anything. Like you just get to the bottom of the mountain, and pardon my French, but you're just like, fuck that kid. And you just like leave it. You just like leave it at the bottom of the mountain and just like go off and do your thing. Like, that kid's just like any day now. He's that nice guy's gonna bring my snowboard back.
Yeah, that's after you get knocked out by Scarlet.
I've ever really loved died, and I'm just need a snowboard right now. Just give me the snowboard.
So do you guys dodge Scarlet's punch or do you always get knocked out?
Oh no, I always dodge it.
Always
it's
win
hilarious.
Fight, baby.
No. He's talking about before you do the snowboarding. In the village, she throws a punch at you, and if you dodge it, she falls to the ground. She like lunges at you and falls. It's hilarious.
See, I always just let her knock me out because I know Tifa's gonna beat the shit out of her later. So. Just like, yeah, don't worry, my buddy's got my back.
Yeah. I don't hit girls, but Tifa will.
Yeah, exactly.
Basketball is another one.
So
guys.
now we're moving on to gold saucer. This is
basically gold saucer.
Yeah. All right, so we'll encapsulate all of these. Arm wrestling, terrible. The fighting one, terrible.
The karate is just basically rock paper scissors.
It's like
you've never.
It is actually literally impossible by the Invisible Man. It's
exactly.
Yeah.
Basketball is amazing. The ballerina. I just replayed 7. I spent so much time in the ballerina. It's a blast. It's amazing.
Well, so the basketball is personally my favorite way to get GP.
I love it,
for the battle square because like it's so simple, and if you get the timing down, you can just rain threes all the time, like Steph Curry. Steph Curry.
I just want to like see Vinny like, all right, like.
No, we can't just move past this. We can't just move past it. It was like
his head. I want to see him put on a headband and like a Toon Squad like jersey. And sit like at his computer like and it's like Daffy Duck where he's like when he puts on his Dennis Rodman stuff where he's like, just stay out of my way.
Dude, I was reading the doc earlier and I saw Steph Curry and I was like, well, this document's great. I can see that he really took some time with this.
We're moving into we're actually going to do a
drain
sports
threes
podcast.
Like Steph Curry.
Yeah, and then so you have Moogle Story, which is probably the first one you should do because it's the easiest GP you get. So in that minigame, you follow a little Moogle Kupo, and our little Moogle friend is trying to find love, and we feed him nuts
trying to find love.
Until he's confident enough to really try Kupo.
What's really funny is like that is just like at the precedent of Roy from Rick and Morty. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen the one with Roy where it's like you put on the helmet and you like literally just live this guy's life.
Oh yeah.
And it's like 70 years and like he dies and you just like wake up. It's like, oh man, you went 70 years. Good job. Like,
yep. They're at like the galactic version of Dave and Buster's.
Yeah, it's blips and chips, dude.
Blips and chips.
Give it. You know what it does get? Like, what was it? Like 4 hours of blips and chips?
I was trying to find who said it. It might have been Kreisman. I think it was Kreisman who said like if they don't have a straight up 40-hour mini game of Moogle Story, then it's just he's gonna be upset in remake.
That's 40 hours, more like 40 years.
It's gonna be
I bet it's a Hell House situation
from birth
where it's a
to
standard,
death.
you know, like Hell House was a standard thing in Final Fantasy VII. I bet they take Mog's story and turn it into something just super grand.
I hope
just
so.
like something like that's just straight up, just over the top, like Hell House situation where they're just like everybody loves Mog's story.
Reed, you have to do your taxes. No, I have to do Mog's taxes today. Okay.
I gotta do Mog's taxes today.
All right, and then Mog needs groceries. Okay, and Mog's not just gonna buy groceries without doing some goddamn work.
It turns into a full-blown like Animal Crossing life sim. Like
get off my back, lady.
Why is Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 $120? Oh, because you get 3 games in one.
If they call it Part Due, like Hot Shots Part Due, it would literally make my life. Also, S tier parody film. Check it out.
So the Battle Square is like the quintessential like magnum opus of Final Fantasy VII for like mini games, because that's where you get Omni Slash. Everybody wants Omni Slash. Omni Slash costs less in disc 1 than it does in 2 and 3. So if you had enough gil to convert into GP, definitely go and try and get Omni Slash in disc 1. But you choose one character, they go through the battle square, they fight 8 matches, and if you decide to continue, then you get the slot reel that gives you a status ailment. The worse the status ailment, the more the bonus BP you get. If you get healed, you get no extra BP. And if you're wearing a ribbon, it basically negates all of the status ailments that it'll give you, but you'll still get the bonus BP.
And then you get broken accessory, like on like the first spin.
Yeah, broken accessory would suck. that's when you're just like, all right. Oh, and you have to. Your BP gets reverted back down to 0 if you leave the battle square, so you have to spend it all before you leave.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you do added effect, is it added effect Asuna or added effect heal? On your armor. I think that like serves as a backup to your ribbon getting broken. But then I had one where my ribbon was broken on like my first spin, and then literally my second spin was like green materia busted. Like, oh, okay, well, fuck me. Like,
yeah, this one's a wash. Good. It sucks fighting like the 8th battle as like mini Cloud, and you're like, I'm doing 1 damage. This sucks.
Oh my god. I had a battle where I got frogged. It's my new show. Like, you got frogged.
You got frogged.
Yeah, but
we should all just do a podcast as frogs.
My armor had elemental ice on it because I knew that you can get that the lizard like dragon for the final fight, and where it only uses ice attacks the whole time. So I got that, but I got minied and frogged. So I was like, oh.
So you can't lose, but it's going to be a long battle.
So I gently placed a heavy weight on my X button, and this is like right after my surgery. So I went downstairs to like get a cup of tea, which after a knee surgery takes like 10 minutes. And then I got back up, and I was like, all right, it should be any minute now. And 30 minutes later, it was done.
Kreisman says, I once left my PlayStation on all night to win one of those fights.
Yeah. Some of those last fights, they're in like the quadruple digits for HP, and you're just doing 1 damage.
What really sucks is you can get the ghost ship, and it can just like use like a tornado. I can't remember what the movie's called, but
it's
you and you automatically lose.
It's I forgot what the name of it is, but he doesn't tornado you. He rows over to you with his little oar, grabs you with his oar, and then flicks you away, and then the fight's over. You lose. You need armor that prevents eject, and
you got oared.
You just got oared and frogged.
So moving on, this is kind of like a
oared and frogged. In this economy.
This is kind of like a double like feature, but Chocobo Racing is pretty self-explanatory. You get a Chocobo and you race it at the gold saucer. But
I really loved Chocobo Racing, man.
Me-
I don't know about
me
you
too.
guys. I really
That was a
enjoyed
lot
it.
of fun.
It was fun when I played it growing up. I think because I just really enjoyed the change of pace. But nowadays it is kind of like, oh, this is pretty super easy once you start getting to the point where your Chocobo is just fast. You know, what I mean?
yeah,
once you
but
once you raise that stat.
the
Well,
Mario Kart style map was kind of cool. Like you get to the end and
Yeah.
you're just like, oh, this is the Rainbow Road. Like, I'm
Yeah.
running through
Yeah.
space. And
I
then
would love
oh,
to see it.
Yeah.
I'm
I-
sorry.
I
Go ahead.
hated like so next is breeding chocobos, but when you need to race your chocobo to S rank and then
Yeah.
mate them so that you can, get the good
You
colored
don't-
chocobos
you
and
actually,
stuff.
You actually don't have to. You don't have to. As I learned. So I bred my green and blues without ever doing a race. It's once you get to black, you have to S rank it.
Well, when they're S rank, so if your green and blue are both S rank, you're guaranteed you're getting a black. So if you don't want to like save scum or have to continuously try, like you start off with a good chocobo and a great chocobo. Rank them both up to S.
Wait, you do good. Oh, yeah, no, you're right. It is good and great.
Good and great. And then you get a blue, either female or male, then save, and then mate them again. You have to do a couple battles because there's like a summoning sickness with their mating. They can't just like go right back at it.
They're worn out, man. They're worn out.
Yeah, they need to replenish their electrolytes. They gotta drink some Gatorade or something.
Straight plowing our end.
But then you mate them again until you get a green male or female, opposite of whatever your blue chocobo was. And do you see my dog in the back?
So what I did was I mated to get the green, and then I went back out and I got I had a great female, and a good male. I bred them to get the green. Then I went out, I released them. Then I went out and got a great male and a good female, and then got the blue.
Yeah. So I don't think it matters about like
Probably
the
not.
male or female, which one's great or good. But I do know that. So when you mate the blue and the green one together, you get the black chocobo, and then that chocobo needs to be mated with a S rank wonderful chocobo, which is only found in the snowfields. In the snowfields and it's only found in the formation of the two rabbits.
Yeah. Yep.
And then you have to also, I didn't mention this, but you have to you have to mate the black and wonderful one with a carob nut, I believe.
I think they're all carob nut until to get the gold you have to use like the Xeno.
Yeah, which can only be stolen from a specific type of monster. The goblins
on the Goblin Isle. Yeah, and the carob nut you have to get from that the red monster. I can't think of his name, but he has like 35k health, and it's
he kind of looks like a Velociraptor mixed with Godzilla type.
It's like it's a Velociraptor mixed with a Xenomorph.
Yeah.
Well, you got the next one is not like, it's not so much I guess it's kind of story essential. The Bone Village one where you do the detonating and stuff. That's kind of cool because you can get some really cool items there.
And
digging.
I think every video game, I know this isn't really technically a mini game, but I think it deserves an honorable mention because of I think every video game that has missable stuff should have something like this, because in Bone Village, if you miss anything that you can't go back and get, like Bahamut Zero, you can get Bahamut Zero from the Bone Village. It's extremely rare, but if you really missed it and you really want Bahamut Zero, you can just keep doing that mini game until you get Bahamut Zero. And
That's awesome.
Yeah, and you can also get Neo Bahamut because Neo Bahamut's also missable.
So that kind of wraps up the Final Fantasy VII, I think. Please let us know if we forgot anything. I think we kind of covered everything that Final Fantasy VII has to offer that are not story essential. Like the Junin joining the parade is a story essential thing, but I'm really excited to see that in remake as well. I hope they keep that in there.
Have you guys ever got 100% viewer rating?
Yeah, I've done that before. I don't know.
It's hard.
Like it wasn't on my recent playthrough, but yeah, it's difficult.
Hard. And then
Possible.
and then at the end you have to impress Rufus too. So that's
Yeah. Final Fantasy VIII. We all know where this going. We know where this is going. The Triple Triad. Triple Triad. Who enjoyed Triple Triad? Did you guys enjoy it as much as I did?
I literally never refined the cards either. I wouldn't do it because if I refine the cards, then the card's gone. Like I mean, I don't know about you, but I want to be the very best.
Like no, that no one ever was. Yeah. Triple Triad was just amazing. So the way I described it in the document for anybody who hasn't played it, which might also be a horrible description, but
you straight dunk cards like Steph Curry.
It's a mixture between what did I say? It's a mixture between Othello and Stratego. So I don't know if you guys have ever played Othello before, but you have these little coins. One side's black, one side's white, and your goal is to have if your color is white, you want to have as many white coins out on the board.
But if you get it in between, it flips all the coins that are in between
in that entire row. It flips the whole row. Over. So Triple Triad's kind of like that, where the Stratego comes into play with if your card has a 5 on the top, and then somebody puts a 6 on the bottom, and they put it above your 5. That card turns into your card now. Now that's your card. But
you also have to pay attention to what like if you have an opening on your left side, your number on that, like, so your four numbers or even letters are higher than numbers, but your 4 numbers are correspondent to wherever somebody places it. And you can overtake either side. It's really fun, man. I really enjoyed Triple Triad. It was simple enough to where everybody could play. And I actually watched Soldier First Class actually did a video of the history of Triple Triad, which was actually really interesting. It's a very short video. Go check it out if you want. It's on Soldier First Class. But yeah, it's really cool how the developer wanted to create a game that was kind of like, because it was during the time of Magic of the Gathering, kind of being like this huge deal, and they were like, well, a mini game, let's make it a card game. And so that was kind of cool how like he was like, well, I wanted to do the Magic of the Gathering type thing where you can trade with people across this world, and then also make it simple enough where the player can just pick it up and play. And yeah, I thought it was really cool.
I asked this in chat, but I'm gonna ask you guys as well. Is there like one Triple Triad card that you like always had to use no matter what, even if you had better? Like for me, I always use Quetzalcoatl, just because he's my boy and I'm a mythology nerd, and I mean, he's a
had to use him.
I used Biggs and Wedge or Quinta, or no, not Quinta. What's her name? The teacher.
I use Funguar.
Quistis.
Keistis,
I don't know. I've heard it both ways.
I've heard Quisty, which I'm just like
Quistius.
I imagine you're like trying to say crispy, but you got a speech impediment.
So there's a Triple Triad like official card game out, and there were not a lot of cards made, or not a lot of copies of the cards made. So if you look online, to get like a full deck of Triple Triad cards would cost like thousands of dollars. Like they are a huge collector's item. That I'm like.
You could also check out KoopaCon's store going on right now where they're doing Tripom, which is
Noon.
Cool.
I really don't know what that that emoji is, but I love it. It makes me question what you're doing.
That emoji.
He just looks like it's a climactic emoji, if you know what I'm saying. Actually, it kind of looks like Patrick Bateman from American Psycho.
Final Fantasy IX. We can move because I feel like that covers Final Fantasy VIII.
Significantly worse card game.
Yeah, the Tetramaster was in Final Fantasy IX. I didn't enjoy that one as much. And then you have, and then the racing with Vivi. You guys remember
with
that?
the hippo. My brother my
dude.
brother punched a hole in the wall
That's
because he couldn't beat the hippo. And my dad came home like right after he did it, and he was like, "What the hell is this?" And Ryan was like, "Oh, I tripped and I hit my head against the wall." He's like, "Oh yeah, let's see your hand." It's like his knuckles bleeding. He's like, "Oh, that's something different. I slipped." And like as soon as my dad left, like he got so mad. I was like, "Dude, you're lying to dad about a hippo." You punched a hole all over a hippo. Like,
Them hungry hippos.
even I could be the hippo in a race IRL. Like
you get to what is it, like 50
It's
races to unlock something important? I can't remember. Like, it's been a long time since I've done this, but you can do 50 races, and then you get, I think it's 50. You get what you want out of it, and then after that, you can actually just keep racing him if you're weird and you like that. Yeah, if you're a masochist, you like that kind of thing. And it does go up to 80. And I watched a video where they said the only way that somebody actually defeated or won the race was using a turbo controller, where it would just press that button as fast as it possibly could to win the race. And it's like, what? And that's kind of the same thing for the VV jump jump rope mini game that's in there as well, where there's a certain limit where that's where you can get to. You unlock what you need to do, and then after that you can just keep going. And somebody used they hacked into the PS, either the Steam version or one of the versions of the game. They hacked into it and wrote a code where it would just keep pressing the button at the exact time that it needs to, and it went up to like 8 million or 8 million jumps or something like that. And then the game it resets back to 0.
8 million hops this time.
8 million hops this time.
And isn't there like a little? I haven't played Kingdom Hearts 2 in such a long time, probably since it came out. But isn't Vivi jump roping with a bunch of kids in Kingdom Hearts 2 in the beginning?
Oh my god! Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah,
I think
so that's
there is a jump rope thing, and I think he is, and that's a cool callback. I don't think I really noticed.
I didn't notice that until now, but yeah, I'm pretty sure like Kingdom Hearts, they had like a little cameo. Like, he really likes jumping rope. He really likes it. There's the Impress the Nobles thing, which I counted as a mini game, because you have to there's like a 50 button combination you have to hit perfectly to impress the nobles, and I thought that that's one of those like hair pulling mini games.
Yeah.
And then the other one, which I don't know if you guys are going to count as a mini game, so I don't blame you if you don't count this as a mini game. I just thought it was really cool how to get the Excalibur before Gilgamesh, you need to get to that pillar before the 12-hour timer on your game timer. So to get the Excalibur, you have to, for Steiner is his name, right?
Steiner. Yeah.
To get his best weapon, the Excalibur, you have to get to the pillar before Gilgamesh. If you don't, you get the Excalibur or whatever I think it's called, like the bad version of it. But if you're even slower, you get genital warts. I hope not. But if you get up to that point and you're past 12 hours, you can actually, if you really want the weapon that bad, you can just set your game, leave it on, and then let the clock reset back to 0 once it hits its max. And then the game will think you got there before 12 hours. So you can get the Excalibur that way too. But I've never done that before. I've gotten the Excalibur, but I've never waited 99 hours and such to get it. But that is a way to get it if you want to platinum, because I think that's one of the ways. I think it's one of the achievements.
I appreciate the recent follows, by the way, guys. We're halfway there to our limit break, and once we hit our limit breaker, we will have Reed take a pie to the face on the next stream. Like, he will do it on stream, pie to the face. So go ahead. I've tweeted it out. So go ahead and retweet that. Make it happen. Let's make that happen.
Yeah, I really want to see Reed take a pie to the face.
Yeah, the limit gauge will fill.
Baby Seal said, "How can I follow more?
How can we follow more? just retweet and try to get more people to follow so we can just get this pie to Reed's face. This is going to be great. What kind of pie do you want? That's another question that we have to ask.
We'll have to take a poll.
Yeah, we'll have to take a poll. It'll be great. It's gonna
pecan
be fun.
pie, so it's chunky.
Well, you know what? It'll be our celebratory live stream for when we do our seasons of Final Fantasy content coming up next week. We will be celebrating each Final Fantasy game, one by one for maybe a month or two at a time. So Final Fantasy 1 is first, and to celebrate, we have been challenged to do Final Fantasy 1 challenge run of Final Fantasy 7. So basically, this bot will assign each character a certain class. So it's a lot of fun. We're not going to get into the details too much here, but definitely stay tuned for that. Follow us, and maybe on that stream, if we can hit 10 follows today, we'll have Reed take a pie to the face to celebrate. All right, so Final Fantasy X is next. Now, this one is another one of those games that there's a lot to talk about.
You don't need brother. Dado is all the speed you need. Just saying it again.
No, trust me.
Don't disrespect Dado. Don't do it. I won't hear it. I simply will not.
You do need brother because
I simply will not change.
So if you want Wakka's ultimate weapon, you should use brother because the Albed Sykes level up way faster than the Besaid Aurochs do. So
yeah, but they're all
of the Albed Sykes are going to have triple the stats of your Besaid Aurochs. So you're going to want brother in there because brother doubles their speed. All you got to do is give brother the ball, swim in a circle. They can't catch him.
Brother the ball, man.
The only reason you ever get him is just so you can say, hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, brother. But yeah, I don't think we need to talk about Blitzball too much. I feel like everybody knows about Blitzball. But I was talking to somebody on Twitter at Nostalgiaverse, and
yeah,
he was saying how Blitzball was one of the reasons why he put the game down. Like he likes Final Fantasy X. He's probably beaten it about 4 times, but he says, he's played it about 20 times. But Blitzball is just the part where he's just like, I can't do it because, this is a discrepancy I have with Blitzball as well, which is why I use brother because.
Brother.
Blitzball works against you a lot. Like, so I feel like it's a lot of RNG. You'll have somebody with like a shot of 3 and your goalie has like a goal keep of like 18 and the ball gets through with points to spare. But then like I got Titus to 99 shot and I got Titus to 99 shot. So I did the Jex shot, right? And I did the Jex shot from my goal to their goal. And it was like, how like the points go down as the ball like drifts towards the goal. It went 99, 66, 48, 22. And I'm like, why is it going down so fast? What is causing this to go down so fast? And then somebody with like 9 shot will kick it from like half court and it'll be like 9, 8.
Nah.
So and it's weird when people are blocking, they have like ridiculous chance to steal the ball from you. It's a lot of RNG, which is why like to make it faster, I go, hell yeah, brother. Give him the ball. I give him the ball, score once, get the ball back to brother's hands, and literally just swim around for the remainder of the time. So I always win with 1 point.
Yeah, I can see where people like. For me, it was fun when I was a kid, like playing this game. And then later on, I was just like, I wish it was more. Just make it FIFA, you know what I mean? Like underwater, you like make it fun, make it fast paced, and that would be cool. Make it Super Mario Strikers. That would be great.
Unfortunately, Blitzball.
Nonstop Final Fantasy. Add into the limit break. Thank you so much for the follow. We're gonna get a pie to the face of Reed. Yes.
Unfortunately, I thought this was an interesting decision, and by interesting I mean poor. To lock one of the most integral characters, ultimate weapon, and also his how to power up his ultimate weapon behind Blitzball. You have to participate in Blitzball Also hit the best overdrive in the game. The attack reels, because the attack reels allows Waka to attack like 17 times with his ultimate weapon, and that's one of the ways to beat one of the creations in the monster arena, because if you don't hit it more than like 1.6 million damage, then it'll go into its shell full heal and you can't damage it. So like
oh, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, speaking of Monster Arena, that is one of the mini games.
Yeah.
In Final Fantasy X. So there's Monster Arena, which is kind of like a battle square ish.
But so this is also, I consider it a mini game because you don't have to do it. But the Cloister of Trials Destruction Spheres, you go through the Cloister of Trials, you have the option to do an extra puzzle to use the Destruction Sphere, and you get an instant prize for beating that temple's Destruction Sphere. And then if you beat all the temple's Destruction Spheres, you get one of the most powerful summons in the game, Anima. So that's good incentive to do it. And in order to get the best summon in the game, you have to get Anima and Yojimbo. So definitely worth doing. There's some of these I don't want to talk about because it hurts. I mean, you got that mini game Jack Shot, the Jack Shot game on the boat where you learn the Jack Shot.
Which only gets worse in Final Fantasy X too, like that whole memory button game.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You have Chocobo Trainer, which this person teaches you how to train a Chocobo so you could ride it across the calm lands, but then she takes it one step further, and you're gonna lose again and again and again and again until you get lucky enough to get the perfect formation. The goal of this is to race another Chocobo and get 0 seconds as your time. And to do that, you need to collect enough balloons and avoid enough seagulls and make it to the end. When I tell you that this was probably one of the most frustrating things I've ever done in my life, and then my second playthrough through it, I beat it third try. So it's like super random. Like it's you just got to keep trying it and don't let it piss you off, because if you fail, you were meant to fail. You were meant to fail until you do it.
I had to put my headset down because I got a phone call. I literally just I just like picked my headset back up, and it's like, well, you were meant to fail. It's like, all right, well then, fuck me.
Thank you for that follow, Gunmetal Hime. So then I guess since we just talked about one of the most annoying ones, we'll talk about the most annoying one that Vincent Graymore brought up, the Lightning Dodger. This one is tedious. It is mind numbing.
Wait, is it tedious or is it tedious?
It's tedious.
It's tedious.
I think tedious is just the best way to put it, to combine.
It's just tedious.
So the Thunder Plains one is actually considered a mini game across like all of the wikis, like everybody considers Lightning Dodger to be a mini game, so I included it. There's not much to it aside from when your screen flashes, you press X and you dodge the lightning bolt.
There is a way to cheat the system though. Like, I don't know if you guys saw or know about it. I'm sure you know about it. You're the freaking man at this. But like you can actually cheat the system. There's I think there's like a corner of the map that you can kind of go to where the lightning just doesn't hit you or something.
Oh, see, I didn't hear about that. There's a corner of the map where the lightning strikes every 3 seconds. So you know when it's gonna, when you use 1,
Is that what it was?
2,
Okay.
3, and a flash, and you press X.
I just like to imagine there's like a ruby weapon in Final Fantasy X. You know how like ruby weapon gives you like golden chocobo basically, and at that point it's like, well, this is useless, because most of the time you already have one. It would just be so funny if there's like some mega super boss and it's like, what do you drop? Rubber boots. Oh, well, what's that good for?
Rubber boots.
Just cuts to a guy standing in the thunder plains, not moving, and like doesn't get hurt at all. It's like, I don't know.
Doesn't. Yeah, you just need that rubber boot.
Good thing I killed this like giant ancient dragon boss for these rubber boots.
Yeah, man, it's like the nail bat. Like all the mundane weapons of Final Fantasy VII were like super powered. Like you had the umbrella, the nail bat, the rake. Like
The
all these super powered weapons had such mundane names. So
well, I mean, Mario RPG had the ultimate weapon in the game is a frying pan, so
that's my ultimate weapon in real life too. But
Baby
so
Seal says it's a
Chef
game in the same
Vincenzo.
way that Saw defines them as games.
Exactly.
Square Enix says, I want to play a game.
So and so speaking of that, it's a nice segue actually. The Lightning Dodger
torture
finds like the Lightning Dodger expected you to try and make shortcuts, right? So if you leave the area, it resets to 0. If you get hit, it resets to 0. If you decide to do what I decided to do, and every 10 dodges, you save at that save sphere, and then you get hit or whatever, and so you reload, they thought of that. It resets every time you reload the game, too. So I'm sitting there like, I should be at like 600 dodges right now. Why is this not working? Because they thought of that. So you can't save scum it or whatever unless you're emulating it on a emulator or whatever where you can have a save state because it doesn't detect the save state, which I would save after every dodge. Every single dodge, save.
Save state. Save state.
In my save space.
I just saw that South Park episode the other day for the first time. That was a great one.
The insecurity one, or no, it's
it's the we're getting off.
South Park mini games.
So most of these challenging mini games are actually to give you either a sigil or a stone. I think the sigils are the hard ones to get. The stones are usually just found. But to power up your character's ultimate weapons. So if you don't plan on using Lulu, you really don't need to do this mini game. If she's not going to be like in your top 3, you don't need to do this mini game. Same thing with this next mini game, the butterfly catcher. It's really simple. It's you catch all the blue butterflies while avoiding the red ones in Macalania Forest, and
super easy, barely an inconvenience.
Yeah, I mean, so it would be super easy.
This videos religiously.
It would be super easy.
Pitch meeting.
But so the red butterflies, where you hit them and where they show up on your screen aren't lined up. So it looks like you dodge a red one, and then Titus gets a migraine, and then you have to fight something. So it's like it's frustrating. But once you know, like, okay, I need to run all the way to the left here, and then all the way to the right, run straight down. Like once you get the hang of that, it's easy. But it's also for a character that you're probably not going to use. So you don't really need to do this because Kamari is a jack of all trades, master of none, not really good at one certain thing. So unless he's your like favorite character, unless he's your favorite character, you really don't need to pull your hair out with this mini game either. But the next mini game is for the best character in Final Fantasy history, the Cactuar Hunt. This one is actually really long and surprisingly fun if you don't use a guide. In Bikanal Island, you have you need to get the glasses or something first, right, in order to go into that little sandstorm area. But there's this little like tombstone looking thing of a Cactuar, and it'll give you a riddle, and the riddle tells you where the Cactuar is, but it's not just Bikanal Island. It's the entire map of Spira. It could be anywhere. So you solve the riddle, and then when you find the Cactuar, it now throws you into a game of red light, green light, where you need to sneak up on the Cactuar to catch it. If you sneak up on it, you go into a battle, and you fight the Cactuar, and they drop some pretty good items and weapons too if you beat them. And I believe they're not just they're not Cactuar with a C. I think they're Cactuar with a Q when you catch them. So if you fail to catch it, you still get a stone, but you get a Predator Stone, which ultimately gives you the same. You just don't get the cool item. But when you solve all 10 riddles, you get Riku's God Hand, which is you're going to use Riku a lot because she's the best character in Final Fantasy history, and she's like she's like the only character that can solo every boss in the game. So, yeah, she's really cool. But yeah. So then there's monster hunting and monster arena. Oh wait, and Remium Temple, which is where you fight. It's like a mini game where you fight another summoner. Your Aeons versus her Aeons. You fight enough of them, and you get the flower scepter, or no, you get the you get the flower scepter. You open up, and you get the Magus Sisters from that. Underneath Remium Temple, you race another Chocobo, which gets you the Cloudy Mirror. When you beat the Chocobo, which is for powering up all of these ultimate weapons. And then monster hunting and monster arena, which is where you're going to spend more time in that than you did actually playing the base game. You hunt monsters all across Spira. This old man gives you weapons with the capture ability that allow you to capture monsters from each area. You capture 10 monsters from each area, and he creates super bosses for you to fight. When you fight all of the super bosses that he's created, he creates one final super boss, which is Nemesis, and he has the highest rate of dropping dark matter. But it's not worth fighting him over and over for dark matter. You can fight other people easier for dark matter. But unless I'm forgetting anything, I'm pretty sure that wraps up Final Fantasy X finally.
Yeah, unless we're missing anything. The last like 30 minutes.
Yeah. Final Fantasy X. Now Final Fantasy X 2, we're gonna try and go through the next couple games a little bit quicker.
You don't treat that game like people. Well, yeah. No, you can't turn into a giant blade chicken, as we've learned. So.
Final Fantasy X 2 had a few mini games in it. I remember that really ridiculous one that we were kind of touched on a little earlier about the memory match thing. And then at one point, like you can do the memory match in Final Fantasy X 2, and then at one point, you actually have to remember it backwards. And I mean, obviously, the only way that I was able to do it was to write it down as it was happening. Like just write it down and then go backwards, because you need to have some excellent memory, short-term memory to kind of like to get that. So yeah. And then they had the sphere break. Yep, that was one of them. The one where you had to find the 10 gatekeepers.
It was the same thing as Riku's thing.
Gatekeeping 2021.
Yep.
And then you had Yuna's Gunner's Gauntlet, where she ran through Besaid shooting monsters.
That's right.
A little Dirge Cerberus action.
And Final Fantasy XI, to be honest with you, I think Reed is probably the only one who played a little bit of Final Fantasy XI. But we do know that there was Chocobo Racing in it. We know that there was Hot and Cold.
I never got to any of that.
Okay.
I leveled the character long enough to not like leveling that character.
Okay, yeah. So Final Fantasy XI had some mini games in it, but we honestly cannot really talk about it too much, but from research, Chocobo Racing's in there and some Chocobo Hot and Cold minigame. Final Fantasy XII though had monster hunting in it, so that was kind of cool. Bounty hunting, a fishing minigame, and the foot race minigame. Now, Reed, you have just recently kind of played Final Fantasy XII. Do you have anything to add to the minigames of Final Fantasy XII?
I mean, the big thing is the Monster Hunter. It's a lot of fun. I love the idea. I love the reward system for it. Because once you get to like the third act of the game, like having teleport crystals helps a lot. Which, I mean, again, the game is so well thought out. Like, man, playing through 12 again, I just want to say once more that I have this new profound appreciation for 12. But it really does kind of like just send you all over the place. And it is an inconvenience. Well, I mean, as like, you know, it's why it's a side quest, like mini game kind of thing, you know? So, but no, I think it's high tier for me. I love it. I love the combat system so much. I love getting all the extra fights and getting to, you know, swap all my gambits and stuff. But that's really it. The foot race thing that's just nothing. I haven't even done the fishing game, so.
And the bounty hunting leads to probably one of the best super bosses in the series too, Yasmit. That was so fun and difficult.
Dude, I cannot wait for that. I have like put off finishing the game. Like I'm probably like probably like 2 or 3 hours out if I just went straight story from finishing the game. But obviously that means that there's like 10 hours of side stuff to do. And I have just like basically quit doing it. But once I get to it, like I can't wait for that fight.
And to answer Vincent Graymore's question, some of the marks are always where they are supposed to be. Some of the marks are like randomly spawned. And some of the marks, I believe the higher star marks, actually jump you while you're in the middle of fighting something else.
So
which sucks.
Yeah, there are some situation-based ones. Like there are some that you have to like. There's one where you have to like clear a whole area, like kill every monster in an area, and then leave it, and then come back.
And then it'll be the only monster there. Yeah, and it'll be huge. That was a huge one, right? That was like a really big.
Well,
boss.
Well, there's a couple like that, but one of them is really funny where it's like you clear out and you come back and it's like a little tiny like baby chicken basically.
Yeah.
and you go and it's like I'm gonna kill this chicken, fuck it. And like as soon as you hit it, like this giant like the big monster comes out. But no, there's other ones where there's like obviously much bigger ones, but no, there's like circumstance surrounding several of them. But
Yasmit is fought in the arena or something, right? Like it's like there's no running away. Like it's in like it's like an actual boss battle. It was fun. It's great.
To go off what Vincenzo is saying. Now we got 2 Vincenzos. Battle of Vincenzo's fight 2 though. There's like rare spawns that can randomly spawn on a map. And sometimes they'll drop like higher quality stuff, like sometimes. But those, there's those that are separate from the actual bounties as well. So,
yeah. All right. We are at 7 follows. Just wanted to kind of update here.
Wow.
I am posting on Twitter, but I said if we get 10 follows today, we'll have Reed take a pie to the face. I appreciate all the new follows on Twitter.
Yeah, it doesn't.
But I didn't. I meant Twitch.
I didn't get any follows on Twitter.
There was a couple of people that followed right after that. I do appreciate the follows.
What if we
but to clarify, it's over here on Twitch.
It's like, all right, so take a pie to the face, and it's like an overbaked pecan pie, so it's like a brick. And just like breaks
Final Fangirl is about to follow. We're gonna get 8.
Final Fangirl, we love you.
Final Fangirl is Skittle.
Yeah, Skittle. Thank you so much for tuning in today.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
It's nice to see you in chat.
Yeah.
So are we moving on to
Final
13?
Fantasy 13?
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 13. I mean,
okay, so there's not much to say about Final Fantasy 13. So let's move on to. So Final Fantasy 13 has
this discussion is getting really linear, or is it just me?
It's getting linear.
I don't know if you really count this as a minigame, but when you get the Chocobo, you can go dig for treasure. So good job on the minigames of 13.
Didn't 13 have Chocobo Racing as well, or is that with 13-2?
13-2 had Chocobo Racing.
Okay.
13-2 had a slot machine. It had Chocobo Racing, and then 2 DLC card games were added. I didn't play 13-2 enough to where I wanted to buy DLC for it, so I never got to play the card games. I heard they were pretty good. I heard some people even told me that the card games are better than the actual game itself. So, so there's that. And then Lightning.
We're still talking 13, right?
The 13-2.
13-2. We were kind of going through. It's very linear as you said.
I was about to say if it was 13, I'd be like, oh, so the card game would be like, you play this card. Now play this card.
It's Go Fish. It's literally Go Fish. Like it's
now play it just tells you.
It tells you what cards to play because it's so linear.
It highlights one card and like you try to pick another one. It's like
Yeah, it's like that commercial where he's just like no.
I'll have freedom. No.
I was thinking Newman from Jurassic Park. It's like, you didn't say the magic word.
And then Lightning's Return is
Gotta
one
wait till we get
giant
to the
mini
Great
game.
Plains for that.
So I would consider Lightning's Return just one giant mini game, right? With that that doomsday clock.
The doomsday clock, yeah.
So there's that, and then we move on to 14.
The star dragging thing. Vincent Graymore says.
Star dragging?
I wouldn't even say mini games in 14.
There's a lot of mini games in 14 actually. And they're actually
14 introduced the gold saucer.
Yeah.
And Triple Triad.
That's true.
And it's actually they actually did Chocobo Racing really good.
I would just say
to it.
Any MMO, like MMOs are like rife with side, like mini games and stuff like that. So it's different than like a single player like RPG with mini games kind of thing.
I think it's worth mentioning
on a technicality.
I think it's worth mentioning that 14 has a gold saucer, which I think is really cool because the gold saucer was awesome. And they also added Triple Triad. So they at least listen to fans. They're like, all right, we know this is popular. So
yeah, and what makes that even more fun actually is it's PvP. So that's kind of cool. Like to be able to play Triple Triad against somebody else, like an actual player. That's fun.
Just don't steal my cards, or else there's gonna be be hands thrown as well.
Go throw some hands. So there's a bunch of mini games in Final Fantasy 14. Chocobo Racing, Triple Triad is in there. I haven't spent too much time in the Gold Saucer as I'm trying to just beeline it through the MSQ, but I played a little bit, man. That they definitely did Chocobo Racing pretty good. I like that. And there's a bunch of other ones. I had a list, but like Reed said, it's rife with mini games. So there's really nothing, go to the Gold Saucer, Final Fantasy 14. It's really good, really fun. PvP is great too, aspect to the mini games. Here we are. We're at 8. We're at 8.
Danny
Thank
loves
you for that follow. 14. Badly Brave.
Danny loves what?
Final Fantasy 14.
Yes. Yes. Final Fantasy.
You sound ashamed. You're like, yes, I do. Yeah. I love it.
My subscription ran out on it, and my feelings didn't get hurt, but I probably will pick it back up because I'm dedicated, and I want to make content.
I looked at my bank account and it auto renewed for $60, and I was just like, whoa. I wonder what I bought. I kind of just like went on the website and I was just like, purchase.
I would like an annual subscription every month.
Yeah. I think it renewed for 3 months. I think that's why it's $60 or something, or it was like $48 or something. I think it was a 3-month renewal. But
that makes sense.
I will say this: the Moogle Station website they have for it isn't the friendliest website.
No, it's so bad. I hate it.
All of my Moogle Station where you purchase like all the stuff.
So bad.
Yeah, it's not the friendliest. So if the game is great, if they could update that to be more friendly, I think.
Well, see, it's made by Moogles for Moogles. I'm not a Moogle. I want your damn Moogle station. I need a human station. Damn, get out of here. I'm not your Koopo.
I'm not your Koopo.
So, Final Fantasy 15, which is
Final Fantasy 15.
Unarguably,
Final
Danny's
Fantasy 37.
Danny's territory here.
I love Final Fantasy 15.
Yes, you do.
Yes, Final Fantasy 15 had some pretty good mini games in it. If you go ahead and just include all of the main characters have their own like specialty. You got to come up with a new recipe. That's kind of a mini game in itself.
I'll
come up with a new recipe. Fishing is probably the main draw for the mini game, I guess, in Final Fantasy 15. It's Noctis' favorite pastime. It goes in depth with like baits, rods, variety of species. Even got its own VR
sim.
Yeah, gave it its own VR game later on, Monsters of the Deep. So it's a lot of fun. It's relaxing. It's just like fishing in real life. You know what I mean? Just like it. Absolutely, there's no difference between the two.
And Prompto takes a lot of pictures when you're fishing too, which is kind of cool because like that's what like real fishermen do. Like when you're fishing with your buddies and you're kind of just like candidly like casting your line, you're not even like paying attention, and you got your friend like snapping pictures of you, and you're just like, oh,
I love that.
Yeah,
at the end of every like chapter or whatever, whenever you're like, you get the see the gallery, I'm just like, man, look at Prompto, man, taking pictures. I love it.
Pictures.
So Final Fantasy 15 also had Chocobo Racing. It had Justice Monsters 5, which
the pinball, right?
Yeah, the pinball game that you can play. And then the Regalia Type D Test Drive Trials, which was added in the Royal Edition. And this was actually, I enjoyed a lot. It's kind
never
of
got to play it.
You never played it?
Mm-mm. But it sounds fun.
Yeah, it takes place within the open world, and they basically, like create a track for you to go through checkpoints and stuff. And it's with the off-road type, the Regalia, the Type D Regalia.
The flying one? Is that
no, the off-road, the one that looks like a big monster truck, like with the
I took off-road as like fly it off the road.
We're going, we don't need roads.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's the Type F, I think.
For flying,
yeah. Type D for drive off-road. So you can go off-road with it. There's 3 courses through the open world and you can get in there, do some time trials. It's a lot of fun. And that kind of sums up Final Fantasy 15. Some really fun mini games in there. What do you think, Vinny? Did you enjoy the mini games there?
For what, 15?
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the fishing a lot, just because it was peaceful. I love fishing. I go fishing with my friends. Haven't really been able to go fishing like recently because of everything going on. So just, being able to kind of like immerse myself and feel that in a video game that isn't like, naturally just a fishing game is kind of cool. And then I always say, like casting your line, just going fishing is the fun part. Catching stuff is the bonus. I don't go out expecting to catch anything. It's just, being out there is the fun part. And when Noctis says like, oh, fishing is his favorite and everything, you kind of feel like if you love fishing, you kind of feel that with him too. Like he just like, doesn't he hum sometimes too when he's just like, fishing for a little while? Like he's just doing a lot of candid things that are subtle and you don't really notice until you notice them. So yeah, the fishing was good. And then some of the quests felt mini gamey to me, where it was like going to fight the behemoth. That whole like that sequence break where you're like, that's the only time in the game where you're just like sneaking and like trying not to get caught. Like that felt mini gamey to me. So some of the quests felt mini gamey to me. But
and then you also have that dungeon that was secret, the secret dungeon that you go to, kind of basically it was a mini game ish,
Well, some of those dungeons where you're collecting I forgot what they're called, but you're collecting other weapons or something, right? Or other seals or something.
You think so? I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember what they are, but like I know Noctis can't, like, there's no monsters. You don't fight any monsters in it, but it felt like a mini game. Supposed to sneak in certain fortresses. Not me. I went in there and just
warp strike. Let's go.
Exactly.
No, I did a lot of sneaking too. Yeah, that was
No, not me. I opened up everything with a warp strike.
Let's go.
So
so that's Final Fantasy 15. Now we can talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake. If you're watching this live, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. Stay tuned, because after this podcast, we're going to go right into Final Forecast. We're going to talk about Red 13 and our predictions of how his story could be expanded, or how he's going to play in battle. A lot of fun stuff going on right after this show. If you're watching this on YouTube later, thank you so much. Check out Final Forecast after this. So Final Fantasy VII Remake brought back some mini games. No, actually, it didn't bring back any of the original mini games, did it?
So I'm just gonna cut you off I'm going to cut you off real quick. Badly Brave brought up that the Stadia version of Final Fantasy 15 added minigames, and I'm seeing here that the 4 minigames that were added in Stadia were Challenge Rally, Expert Duel, Endless Magitech Armor, and Magna Flight. It also goes on to say, the Final Fantasy 15 minigames are so riddled with bugs that one Twitter user created a thread to highlight the problems within the minigames. So I guess they had those minigames have their problems, but they did actually add ones. Yeah, they did actually add minigames that I never even heard of that.
Yeah, very good. Thank you so much for chiming in with that. No, I've never played the Stadia version. I didn't think they added anything to it. That's kind of interesting. I would love to see them, maybe polish that up, release I don't know, the Windows edition or something for the for the next gen consoles where you can actually play it at the high frame rate and the high resolution. But anyways, Final Fantasy VII Remake had darts, the squats and chin ups, and the whack-a-box. Yeah, so there you go. They did bring back the squats and chin ups from the squats from Final Fantasy VII,
and it played the best version of Fight On in the background as you're like doing chin ups and
I just love the guys in the background just go, yeah, that's how you do it. Here we go.
You got like 3 hype men in the back just like pumping you up.
Yeah.
So I am going to agree with Vincent Graymore that the G-Bike in this, it was fun, but I didn't like how the Street Sweeper was a G-Bike boss fight. That was a fun boss fight in the original, as just like, it was cool because the original G-Bike boss fight was you do the G-Bike and then at the end, when you start the boss fight, any damage you took during the G-Bike sequence carried over into the boss fight. So, like, if your party got hit really hard, they would all start with, like, really low HP. I just didn't want... I wanted it to be a real boss fight because I was looking forward to fighting the Street Sweeper. And then it just turned out to be, like, I just got to hit him with my sword while I'm on the bike and stuff. So... yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of it, but I thought the G-Bike was cool in Remake.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was cool. I thought the final the motorball boss was a little bit drawn out too long. When you're doing it, it's like, oh, this is so freaking epic. You're on your bike, you're fighting the boss. I love that whole thing, but it took forever, and it's a little too drawn out for me.
And it's not checkpointed either. So if you're almost at the end and you screw up and that's it. You got to do the whole sequence over again.
Yeah, I think I did it once. I had to do it once more. So I agree. And then you also can actually skip that. So it's not really technically story essential because you can actually skip the mini bike game where you're fighting Roche.
Can you?
Yeah, like if you go into it, if you press start, it says skip mini game. And you can just skip it.
Okay.
I was like, oh, wow, okay.
So Final Fantasy, the creators who don't want you to skip their cutscenes let you skip a huge plot-relevant part.
Yeah. I don't know if you can do it I don't know if you have to do it the first time and then you can skip it on hard mode. I'm not sure. I just know that when I was playing it on hard mode, I was like, I was so frustrated, and I like paused the game like out of frustration. I'm like,
skip.
Jesus. And then I saw skip. I was like, wait, what?
You know how bad there are like certain cutscenes in Final Fantasy X I just want to skip, but I can't. And then you're telling me that you can just skip a boss fight by hitting skip.
I was like, okay, what? I had to do it on hard mode though. I just went through it and did it. I wanted to get every reaction from Jesse. So I went back and I've done that freaking thing so many times. So we also have darts, which was actually a surprise fun hit for me. I love darts.
Me too. I did it till I mastered it.
Yeah, mastered it too. Yeah, exactly. Once I mastered it, set the high score, I was like, all right, there's literally no way you can beat that because it was all bullseyes, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, and then the squats and chin ups, which we've talked about already. Whack-a-box. Whack-a-box was another one where the kids introduced you to it. And yeah, I mean, it was fun. I didn't have a problem with it. Once you get your good strategy going of how you can go through these boxes pretty quick.
I actually beat it the first try through, and I thought it was going to get harder, and it
What
didn't.
about did you do it on hard mode?
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
I used what did I use? The I didn't use the Buster Sword, the one after that, the Force Stealer, I think.
Okay.
I used the Force Stealer on that, and it was just super easy when you spin around and stuff like that.
Yeah, you had to do that. So yeah, before we close out this podcast, let's talk just a little bit about what we want to see from Final Fantasy 16. Do we want to see mini games in there? Chat, please sound off. I want to hear what your thoughts are. What kind of mini games you want to see in there? On a previous podcast, at this point, a couple months ago, when we were speaking
we're at 10 follows. Reed's gonna take a pie to the face.
Yes, Reed will take a pie to the face.
All right, so we're gonna start a poll on Twitter to see what flavor pie you want Reed to get hit in the face.
Yes. Now it's time for the flavor pie. I can't wait for this. The next stream, Reed will take a pie to the face. It's gonna be wonderful. And you know what the beautiful part about this is? I think he has to do it himself, because unless if he has somebody to do it for him, he literally has to take the pie and just put it in his face.
And so who do we have next weekend? Don't we have Sunamad?
We have Sunamads coming up next week, so that's exciting.
So he's gonna get to see Reed take a pie to the face.
That's right. Or if we do it during our Final Fantasy 1 challenge of Final Fantasy 7, so we might do it there too. So just follow and stay tuned. So as far as Final Fantasy 16 goes, I think when we were talking to Night Sky Prince, we all kind of brainstormed, it has this medieval feel to it. What about some medieval fair games? You know what I mean? If you're
Chocobo
thinking
jousting.
of, you got jousting, you got fencing, you've got God, there's so many, axe throwing and stuff like that. What do you think, Vinny?
Even like a Coliseum, not like a Coliseum, but how
like an arena,
like dueling. Because if this is my speculation, if this is going to be a solo party game, then the whole dueling thing is probably going to be, you're fighting a Black Knight, the Red Knight, the Blue Knight, the White Knight, all that stuff. And there's different
Red Knight's going down.
So you have different heroes from different lands coming to challenge you because you're the greatest and stuff, or that could be the mini game that traverses the entire game.
Each area has their own medieval fair,
or their own champion, where you seek out the champion and you fight him, and just stuff like that. I think the game needs to have mini games. Because if it's going to be as dark and dreary as it is, a sequence break might be nice.
And I think if there's one thing that showed us today, as we went through all of these Final Fantasy games, if you noticed a trend here, the game that had the most mini games are favorites, among many. Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 10 were jam packed with mini games. And I think that goes a long way. Final Fantasy 8 had a really, really solid mini game, and I think that's what help that game become as loved by the people that love it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, some people replay 8 just to do triple
just
triad.
To do that. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think mini games are a intricate part of Final Fantasy. I think that was cool to do this today, to kind of go through this. Chocobo freaking jousting is what we're talking about when we said jousting. That would be so freaking awesome. I would love that so much. Some Chocobo jousting. I can imagine you're riding, you have your little reticle aiming at them, and it's kind of going all over the place, and you have to kind of concentrate it in, and you score points by hitting the helmet.
Stuff. I don't know if you've ever played UFC or anything, but
no.
When you get knocked out, or Fight Night, I think has it too. When you get knocked out, there's
line it up.
You have to line up the circles and everything. But the more you've been knocked out, the harder it is to get them both to go. And it's that'd be cool if you have to line it up and everything, and then once you line them up, you hit X or whatever, and then you got you're hit. But the harder the jouster, the harder it is to really line up those circles.
Can you imagine it? Can you just imagine it?
We just made it. All you have to do is just take it and then make
you
it.
see this other guy just charging at you on a chocobo. You know, you're jousting on the oh, so awesome. We gotta get it to happen. Come on, guys. Hashtag chocobo jousting. We're gonna make that work. So yeah, there it is. That's gonna wrap up final podcast. But stay tuned, because immediately after this, we're not ending the stream. Immediately after this, we're doing final forecast, talking about Red 13, and we're talking about Final Fantasy Part 2 or Remake Part 2 and what Red 13 can do. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching Final Podcast. We'll see you next time.